On the first day of NBA basketball, the Nuggets host the 2024 NBA season for their ring night. With Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray headlining the special occasion, the Denver fans got ready for the matchup versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The game had a lot of good moments, including a monster windmill dunk from Aaron Gordon, and the reigning champs end up beating LeBron and the Lakers in Denver to open up the season. And another day one game of the NBA is going to be the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors. A lot of changes for both teams, and it ended up being a very interesting game. Chris Paul was making some plays in his debut, while the fellow debuting Bradley Beal struggled, shooting only 5 for 19 from the field. In an absolute shocker, the Warriors, led by Curry's 34 points, dominate the Phoenix Suns in their first game of the season. Some of the best performing teams was not too much of a shock. Even with the Harden drama, the Beard ended up staying with Philly and it paid off. The 76ers end up being the top Eastern Conference team. And the Bucks were the favorite to win the championship, even with their disappointing outing versus Miami last year, as they finished as the second seed in the East. The Celtics struggle as Porzingis and Jaylen Brown suffer injuries, while Tatum was struggling as the sole star. The Celtics still make the playoffs, but only end up being the 6th seed. And the Lakers, after a conference finals loss last year, finally find an identity after having all their pieces in place and not having to make multiple trades at the deadline. The Lakers win 56 games and finish as the 1st seed in the West. The Warriors and Grizzlies bounce back to a 2nd and 3rd seed finish, Ja Morant being able to lead Memphis to a 49-win season, even with the suspension, while the Warriors, led by CP3 and Curry, nearly win 50 games and attempt to win Chris Paul his first championship. The Lakers get upset in the first round by the Kings after Anthony Davis suffered an early injury, putting LeBron's future in LA in serious doubt. The Heat once again close out Milwaukee in the first round. Giannis and the Bucks have some serious question marks, and who knows if Giannis is going to return. Philly ends up capitalizing on an Eastern Conference run that had them avoid Milwaukee and the Heat. In the conference finals, they have to play Boston again, and with Boston having no Porzingis or Smart, Joel Embiid finally makes the NBA Finals. In the Western Conference, the Phoenix Suns super team is thanking their lucky stars they don't have to go against the Lakers or Nuggets, and they breeze by Golden State in an easy 6-game series because of it. In the NBA Finals, the red-hot 76ers go up against the newly formed Phoenix Suns. Embiid was showing out in Game 7, while Durant was lighting it up as well, but late in the 4th quarter, KD ended up suffering an injury. But even with that, the Phoenix Suns end up winning the finals in a tightly contested 7-game series. And Devin Booker is your 2024 Finals MVP after he averaged 31 points and 8 assists a game versus Philly. Now in the offseason, we're going to look at different draft prospects that make up a very loaded class. Rick Person is one of the best players out of the 2024 draft class. He's a 6'10" forward that specializes in 3-point shooting and on the defensive side of the floor. He's very athletic, and at 6'10", he's capable of hitting difficult shots from 3 levels. He's a big body lockdown defender and looks to be a surefire top 10 pick. Ty Wallace is a beast of a combo guard / forward. He's similar to Rick Person because he's good on both ends of the floor, but Ty is more of an all-around offensive player. Wallace is shorter than Rick, letting him be more shifty and an ISO type of player, which makes Ty Wallace one of the best offensive talents coming out of the 2024 draft class. We have another small forward in True Richmond. He's the most flashy out of the 3. Richmond is an athletic player that is similar to Bradley Beal, but with more vertical and slashing ability when attacking the rim. Out of North Carolina, True Richmond is going to be one of the most fun players to watch in his rookie campaign. Next up, we have a unique point guard. The 300-pound playmaking maestro goes by Tragic Bronson. The 6'9" point guard looks to lose some weight in his time in the pros, but as of right now, his athleticism is one of the worst in the draft, but his IQ and understanding of the game is one of the best in the draft. Now we have a projected top 5 pick. Adonis Poe is a very athletic 6'8" forward / combo guard. He has a passing game that looks good for a player 1 year removed from college. Adonis has a great scoring ability at all levels, and his athleticism is one of the best in the draft. He has solid defense, but nothing too spectacular. But in general, Adonis has very little weaknesses, but some of his weak spots would be his wild shot selection and his strength. Adonis needs to put on some more pounds if he wants to play forward. If he wants to play guard, then maybe him staying leaner would be better. His physical condition is really going to depend on what team he ends up going to. Next is a foreign player. Kyran Mathieu is the prospect out of France, and he's being compared to players like Luka Doncic or even a bigger Tyrese Halliburton. He's more of a scorer than Halliburton and more athletic than Luka, but he is a risky pick. Mathieu has had some injury concerns due to a shoulder injury that he played through during his time in the EuroLeague, but Kyran's upside has him being projected anywhere from top 5 to as low as top 15 to 20. Now we have Jalen Anthony Thompson, who may just be the best offensive player in the entire class. He doesn't offer much on the defensive end, but he has good athleticism and amazing IQ when driving into the paint. He won't just dunk on your head every play, he'll figure out ways to get into the right spots between multiple defenders to make a tough layup, similar to Harden or Kyrie. He also has a tendency of hitting extremely difficult shots from 3 or even mid-range. JAT is going to be one to watch out for when he gets drafted. Now we have another size mismatch type of player. Darnell Patton is a 6'10" guard/forward that is comparable to Kelly Oubre Jr. type of play style. His main weapon is his athleticism. He's got the highest vertical out of anybody in the draft, and even though he's 6'10", he's made it clear in multiple interviews that he wants to play guard in the NBA. Only time will tell if he gets what he wants. And for the rare big men in the draft class, out of all the weak center prospects and power forward options, Javon Ayuk is the diamond in the rough. Javon can hit threes and mid-ranges, but his expertise is on the defensive end of the floor and in the paint scoring. Javon is decently quick and athletic for a 7-footer, allowing him to keep up with faster players on the perimeter and block shots in the paint. Javon Ayuk has a similar build to Wembanyama right now, but he's already said he's working on bulking up and putting on some muscle throughout the year. Ayuk looks to be a lock for a top 5 pick, especially since hyped up big men are a rarity in this draft class. Looking at the draft lottery odds, OKC is atop the league after the Westbrook trade, while the Rockets and Spurs have 2 high pick odds, meaning that Victor Wembanyama is set to be paired up with a potential future star and maybe even 2. And the Hornets end up with the first overall pick, while the Raptors and Blazers leapfrog into the top 4. The Spurs drop to the 7th pick, which will allow them to get a high potential player, but it's a little disappointing since they had a chance to pair up a top 3 or 5 pick with Wembanyama. With the first overall pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Kyran Mathieu, and he goes to Charlotte. The France prospect was projected at highest a 3rd pick, but the Hornets must have knew who they wanted and didn't take a chance of not getting him. At 2, another shock, the Raptors pass up on the projected first overall pick in Ayuk for Ty Wallace. Wallace is going to attempt to fill the roles that Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet left after their departure. With the 3rd pick, the Mavericks finally select Javon Ayuk, and the center out of Colorado is going to join Luka and Kyrie on a finals contending team. The Portland Trail Blazers select the 6'10" forward Rick Person. The skilled and athletic 3-and-D wing is going to team up potentially with Damian Lillard if he can get him to stay. With the 5th pick, the OKC Thunder select Adonis Poe. The big name small forward is being added to one of, if not the best young core in the league. It's going to be interesting to see how much he gets the ball in the Thunder, because to be effective, Adonis is going to need plenty of touches. And here's a big one. The San Antonio Spurs used their 7th pick to pair up Victor Wembanyama with Jalen Anthony Thompson. To refresh your memory, the point guard out of UCLA doesn't offer much defensively, but he may be the best offensive player in the entire draft class, making this pairing with the French prodigy even crazier. Rounding out the top 10, Detroit uses their 10th pick to select Tragic Bronson. Bronson is now 291 pounds, losing 9 pounds since we checked his prospect profile. He's still a huge 6'9", 290-pound point guard that is bound to force mismatch problems while also having stamina issues of his own. The Thunder used their 11th pick to select True Richmond. Another small forward goes to Oklahoma City, which brings in some question marks around who's going to be the starter. There's already serious rumors about Adonis, especially if he's going to be traded elsewhere due to his lack of off-the-ball ability. True Richmond isn't a great off-the-ball option either, but he is athletic and a spark plug type of player, so missing out on some touches wouldn't really detriment his production. And with the 18th pick, the 2023 champion Nuggets draft the shooting guard Darnell Patton. The uber athletic slasher is comparable to Aaron Gordon, but without the defensive skills. Maybe in the future he can mold his game after him, and maybe Patton won't be getting minutes off the jump, but getting drafted into a winning organization and culture is going to most likely benefit the former OTE prospect. In free agency, the shocking moves did not take a break. Paul George ends up leaving LA to join the rookie Jalen Anthony Thompson and Victor Wembanyama, immediately making them one of the most exciting teams to look out for in 2025. While the 34-year-old Drew Holiday leaves Milwaukee to secure a $114 million deal to join Mikal Bridges in Brooklyn. In replace of Paul George, the Clippers go out and sign DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if the Clippers actually think that's going to do anything or they're just trying to sell tickets with that move. A massive shock was James Harden. After trying to force himself out of Philly in the 2023 offseason, the 76ers have one of the best years in franchise history with Harden, but end up losing in the finals. Even with this, Harden still ends up leaving and he joins the Phoenix Suns. Yes, James Harden joins the Suns, the team he lost to in the finals. To do this, Harden took a massive pay cut. He was expected at least a $40 million a year deal, while he signs with Phoenix on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Phoenix loses no players, and now the Suns definitely have a newly created super team. And maybe that DeMar DeRozan signing did mean something because LeBron James ends up leaving the LA Lakers for the LA Clippers. Yes, Kawhi does resign as well. So pretty much the Clippers replace PG-13 with LeBron and replace Westbrook and other role players for DeRozan. And that is it. So with all that being said, that is the introduction to my NBA world in 2K24. If you may be confused on how the series is going to be, then check the description, it would explain everything. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're excited to see the new look NBA. I'll see you next time. Peace.